Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Divya. Welcome to Visual Vibes. In this Python course, I'm gonna teach you everything that you need to learn to start coding with Python. This course doesn't cost you anything, it's totally free for you. But if you would like to help me out, then you can increase its reach by hitting a like button, leave a random comment down below, share, and subscribe to my channel for more videos. Thanks in advance, and I really appreciate it. Without getting any delay, let's jump right in. Today we're gonna see comments and indentation in Python. So before I start, I would like to tell you one thing. If you haven't gone through my sessions on introduction, installation, features, and core concepts in Python, then I would like to recommend you to first go through those sessions first, watch them first, and then get back here to better understand the basics of Python and to follow some sequence. Now let me first start about comments in Python. Comments. From the name itself, generally we can understand, right? Comments are kind of text. But comments in Python are lines of text that can be added to code that help explain what's going on in the code. In other words, I can say comments are ignorable part of Python code. So whenever you define some comments in your code, so Python compiler will ignore those set of statements, and that we can call as comments. So before we see how to put comments in Python, let's talk about why do we need comments in Python. So we need comments in Python because of three reasons. First reason is comments are used to explain Python code. Think about it. Suppose when you write a code, your code can have a lot of statements, right? Sometimes maybe 10 lines, let's say for 50 lines, and sometimes it goes for 100, and maybe sometimes even more. And also, you don't even write one file, right? For a big project, of course, you may need to write 10 to 20 files. Now, what happens, when you write the code for the first time, the moment it works well without errors, what you will do? You will move to the next set of code, right? Let's say, suppose after 1 week, you came back and checked the first part of code. And this time, you don't even remember what you did exactly in your code. So this is what this is what happens in real life, right? So in order to avoid that, you can make use of defining comments about the set of statements or about the functions in your code, explaining what is the purpose of using them in your code. So that's why comments are very useful to explain the Python code. And the second reason is comments are used to make the code more readable. Let's say, for example, you're working with a group of people in your project, and you are the one initially had written the code for one use case. And after some days, you may need to hand over that code to some other developers in your project so they can work on it. So it's very important for those developers to understand your code, right? What you exactly did in your code. So that's where comments come into picture. So we can make use of comments about the set of statements or block of code or about some functions in your code, defining their purpose. So that makes it easier for the developers to read and understand your code very well. And the third reason is it is used to prevent execution while testing. Let's say, suppose you have a 10 set of statements in your code, and if you don't want to run some set of statements in your code, then you can make use of comments. You can comment those set of statements so that Python compiler will not execute those set of statements. So that helps in preventing execution while testing. So this is about comments. Now let's see the different types of comments in Python. So we have two sets of comments in Python, single line comments and multi-line comments. Multi-line comments can also be called as documentation strings or simply doc strings. Single line comments begins with hash symbol, and these comments continues until the end of the line. Multi-line comments are used to add documentation to a block of code or set of statements. Documentation means here, suppose in your program, if you want to add some longer explanation about what you did exactly in that program. Then you can make use of multi-line comments. So normally these multi-line comments can be created using triple quotes. So these triple quotes can be either single or double quotes. So this is about comments and types of comments in Python. Now let's see the example, or we can put comments and make use of comments in code. This is an example program showing you how you can define single line comments and multi-line comments in your code. So to define comments in Python, you can give hash symbol at the beginning of the line to the text. So this is how you can define the comments. And this is an example of defining single line comments. So here I have a print statement. So about this print statement, I given some statement saying that this below line prints the message to the user. So likewise, if you want to have single line comments on different lines, you can define it like this. Each and every line, you can add the comment defining hash symbol at the start of the line. So here I have 3 set of print statements. So I have added comments for each set of statement. Now let's see the example of multi-line comments. So this is the example of multi-line comments using triple single quotes. And this is an example for triple double quotes. So here you can see, right, I have given some name with a John, and I have 2 print statements. And I described these set of statements, what it will do here. So what I have given, declare a variable name, say hello to user by name, welcome user to Python. So like this, you can add documentation part for the set of statements that you have defined, not only for the set of statements, of course, if you have some functions also. So the purpose of those functions, we can add as a documentation or some longer parts of explanation we can add. So we have seen now like how we can define single line and multi-line comments. Now let me run this code. So whenever I run this code, you can see the print statements. It prints the messages for those print statements. But whatever the comments I have mentioned, those will not be executed by Python compiler. Now let's see in the form of by running it. So here you can see, right, the first print statement, it got printed, hello user, welcome to Python. And the other set of statements it got printed. And the remaining ones. So here you can see, right, whatever the comments I have given, those are not executed and are skipped by Python compiler. So like this, if you want to skip any statement, suppose if I want to skip this first print statement, then I can comment this by giving control slash so that it comments that line. And then whenever I run the program again, this time that message will not print. So that message will not be printed here. So like this, if you want to skip some of the statements while testing mainly, you can make use of comments like this. So this is all about comments and types of comments in Python. And the next concept in Python is about indentation. Normally, white space at the beginning of the line is so important in Python. And this leading white space at the beginning of a line of code we can call as indentation. Generally, in other programming languages, to define a block of code, we will use curly braces, and whatever the set of statements that we're gonna write within that block should be within that curly braces only. But when it comes to Python, we need to use or give indentation, and this indentation is mainly useful to define the structure and the flow of the program. And we need to follow two rules while using this indentation. The standard indentation we need to give is 4 spaces per level or a single tab space. And whatever the statements that we're gonna write within that same block must be indented correctly. Otherwise, Python compiler will throw an error. And why it's so important to use indentation is it defines which statements belong together, means it helps us to know which set of statements be a part of which block of code. And it ensures code is more readable and maintainable. So whenever we use or follow some indentation in Python, the code looks so good and it is more readable. And by seeing the code itself, we can be able to know which set of statements belong to which part of code or which part of block. And it is required by Python syntax. Actually, this indentation is a part of Python syntax, which we need to follow, must and should. Otherwise, if we give some incorrect indentation, means it leads to errors. So here I have given 4 examples to show you how indentation need to be given in different scenarios. So the first scenario is for if else statement, and second scenario is for loop along with nested if, and the third scenario is for function definition. And the fourth scenario is for class with method. So here when it comes to first scenario, here I'm checking one condition, whether age is greater than or equal to 18 or not. And inside this if block, I'm running one print statement followed by some indentation. So here I can say like this print statement belong to this if statement, if block. So that's why we have given some indentation before this one. Similarly, one more else block we have given. And inside this else block, we have one print statement followed by some indentation. So these two if blocks are in the same level. And whatever the set of statements that go inside these blocks need to follow some indentation like this. Now let's see the for loop with nested if. Suppose, for example, to this block of code, if we add one more line as like this for loop, then it will look like this. So here you can see, right, we have one for loop which is used to iterate in a range of 1 to 6 numbers. So inside this for loop, I have given 2 blocks, and these 2 blocks are following some same indentation. So by seeing the code itself, we can see, right, these 2 blocks are a part of this for loop following the same indentation. So inside these blocks, we have separate print statements followed by indentation under that level. Similarly, for function definition, I have defined one function giving some def keyword before the name of the function by passing one argument to this function. So inside this function definition, I have given one print statement followed by some indentation so that it clearly defines that this print statement belongs to this function. And inside this function, within the same level, I have defined another function. So for this print statement and for this function, I have followed same indentation saying that these 2 statements belong to this definition, this function definition. And inside this function definition, I have given one more print statement so that this print statement belongs to this function only. Now let's come to the last scenario, that is class with method. Here I have defined one class named person followed by the keyword class. So within this class, I have defined 2 functions following the same indentation level. So that indirectly it will say, so directly it is saying like these 2 functions belong to this class and are in the same level. So within these functions, we have another set of statements. So here we have a print statement and here we have another statement. So this statement belongs to this function and this statement belongs to this function. These two functions belong to this whole class. So like this, in different scenarios, we will use and we need to follow the indentation like this in different scenarios. So this is all about indentation, and we are done with seeing comments and indentation in Python. So that's all for today. I hope you like this session. If you have any doubts, feel free to post them in the comment section. We'll definitely answer your questions, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care, goodbye, and enjoy programming.